So once again, I welcome you all to this very special 109th session of our leadership talks. As you know that these sessions are being organized by India International Education Council and School Lalaji Solutions. India International Education Council is a not-for-profit organization which is working in the field of education. It has collaborators from 12 countries. It aims to create a better world through education. It also aims to build quality centers for elementary education which are approachable for all kids, finding best educational practices across the globe and find ways to implement those in Indian institutions. Creating more awareness on hygiene and learning disabilities is another aim of India International Education Council. It publishes a magazine called World Education Review and many other educational reports. It aims to build 100 chapters in different cities by 2022. It will soon open its membership for institutions and individuals. It also impart training for leaders, teachers, students, and parents. So as you are aware that so far we have successfully conducted 108 sessions. We have received 11,163 registrations, 10,112 questions on national education policy. We have seen participation from 5 countries: India, USA, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Nepal. From India, we have seen participation from 21 states and 86 cities. We aim to organize 200 sessions. With this, we would be reaching out to 100,000 educators, 20,000 institutions, and 1,000 plus eminent speakers like today's speakers would be joining us to share their perspective and ideas. So now, please join me in welcoming our key speakers for this very special session. Our first key speaker, Dr. Shrila Joy Chauhan ji. Dr. Chauhan is principal with Thakur International School, Mumbai, Maharashtra. She is a passionate educationist who strongly believes that education is the key to solve most of the problems of our world. She strongly advocates experiential learning and feels that 21st century skills are a necessary part of life of Generation Z. She believes in the empowerment of women through education. She has received various prestigious awards, for her contribution to the field of education. She has received a Shining Image India Award, Nation Builder Award, Impact Award, Acharya Vinoba Bhave Award on Teachers' Day, Sanjeevani Seed of Knowledge Award 2020. She's also the very active member with the Women's Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry. That's called Wiki. We welcome you, Shanila ma'am. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the introduction.
Welcome, ma'am. Our next key speaker, another very senior education leader, Bindu Gupta ma'am. Bindu ji is principal with RPS International School, Gurugram, Haryana. She's a very senior education leader with decades of academic and administrative experience in the field of education. She has been recognized and awarded for her contribution to the field of education many times. We welcome you, Bindu ma'am. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for lovely introduction.
Welcome, ma'am. Our next speaker, VB Nainwal ji. Nainwal sir is director with the Gurukul International School, Haldwani, Uttarakhand. He is MA, B.Ed and a PG DTE. He has 25 years of experience as principal. He has written series of textbooks in English for class 1 and class 8. He's also heading the Sahodaya complex, in his area with the 60 schools as his members. He has received various prestigious awards like a National Award by PTA, Bharat Gaurav Award 2001, Uttarakhand Best Principal Award. He's also the member with the Inspection Committee of CBSE. We welcome you, Nainwal sir. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you so much for lovely introduction.
Welcome, sir. Our next key speaker, Mr. Abhishek Srivastava ji. Abhishek ji is a founder principal with GD Goenka Public School, Bareilly, Uttar Pradesh. He believes that he is a true definition of a multi-talented personality, an epitome of perseverance and determination. Mr. Abhishek Bhagwan Sarup Srivastava is a well-renowned inhabitant of Lucknow, is a former software engineer turned into academician. He's affectionately called as Abhi Dada by his students. He was awarded with GRP Lucknow, for his strong conviction and dedication towards towards a life-changing worthy cause. His indomitable spirit paid him off and made him feel proud, producing engineers, IAS officers, doctors, and successful entrepreneurs. Since his joining as the founder principal, there is no looking back. in the growth of the school. His vision, along with the innovative practices, has constantly added feeders to the cap of institution. His creative mind brought an idea to start a radio show called Manmarjia on community radio and an online Radio Marzi, for the students of Goenka during the lockdown period. We welcome you, Abhishek ji. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much.
Welcome. Our next key speaker, Dr. Preet Goswami ji. Dr. Goswami is professor with SRM University, Haryana. He completed his PhD in computer science engineering from a state government technical university of Haryana. He has 15 years of teaching and training experience. He delivered a very prestigious invited talk on security in cloud reference models and secure identity management mechanism at IBM Employee Activity and Fitness Center in North Carolina, United States of America. He has been published, more than 42 times in international national journals. He has also published a very sought after book on big data. He is a very active member with IAANG and IEEE. We welcome you, Dr. Goswami. Thank you for joining, and it's an honor to have you.
Thank you, Rajulji. Thank you very much.
Welcome, sir. Our next key speaker, Jaswinder Singh ji. Jaswinder ji is the founder and CEO of Wordsworth ELT. Jaswinder Singh ji has an experience of 30 years in the field of education and technology, and has also served as a consultant to UNESCO on education. Wordsworth English Lab is designed for India and is a highly research initiative of ACT UNIF Group. It is a trusted education company with 2 decades of service in technology, education and training. Its expertise in technology, multimedia, content development has been instrumental in presenting a world-class language lab solution for academia in India. In a very short span of time, Wordsworth English Language Lab has managed considerable recognition across the country for its unique content and methodology. Over 3,000 installations in institutions across the country stand testimony of the quality in product, implementation, training, and the continual service provided by the ACT UNIF and its committed network of leaders. We welcome you, Jaswinder sir. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you. Thank you, Rajulji. I'm very happy to be amongst a very young group of educationists. Privileged. Thank you.
Welcome, sir. Our last key speaker for this very special session, Ms. Michelle Amanna. Michelle is manager with Fatado School of Music. Fatado School of Music is India's largest music educator. It is a brand which is synonym to music in our country. It has a 150-year-old rich legacy. It has been working with 200 plus leading schools of India. It has trained over 1 lakh students. It owns many renowned titles like Bandit, which is India's largest school-level music competition to promote music talents across all schools. Other titles are like piano concert, cadence workshops, high jump training, FSM exams, incentive recital, FSM recital. It enjoys partnerships with renowned institutions like Berklee College of Music and NMIMS School of Performing Arts. We welcome you, Michelle. Thank you for joining. It's an honor to have you.
Thank you, Raju.
Welcome. With this, we come to the next part of this session. I request all our key speakers if you can have your opening remark. After that, I'll come back to you for your main talk. So, opening remark would be for 1 minute, and main talk would be for 8 to 10 minutes. In the end, we'll have some questions. So, I would request, Chauhan ma'am, if we can have, if we may begin with you with your quick 1 minute opening remark. Dr. Sunila Chauhan ji.
Yes. So a very good morning to everyone, and it's really a pleasure to be on this esteemed panel with World Education Review and Leadership Talks. So a lot has been said about NEP 2020, and I'm sure that there's nothing really very, very new that you're going to hear from me, but just my thoughts and views on it. And I would just like to say that along with many things, a lot of it has come under a lot of criticism too. But let's focus as educators on the positive and see how we can make it work. So I really feel that there's a lot in there which we can, as educators, help so that we can go into building up our generation of the upcoming generation of children with these new thoughts and things which are being so much you talked about, like experiential learning, and even the thing of getting more and more of the children back into the mainstream education. So I feel there's something in there for everyone and would like to focus on the positives of that.
Thank you, Shunila ma'am. We all are very excited to hear your ideas and perspective. I'll come back to you for your main talk. Now, I would request Bindu ma'am, ma'am, if we can have your quick 1 minute opening remark.
Yeah, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I believe that by participating in this webinar, we are in right place and at the right time. Together, let us accelerate the exchange of ideas and sharing of good practices. And moreover, I'm pleased that the discussion will take us all up to the next higher level. And I would like to congratulate the leadership talks conducted by India International Council and being the part of this 109th session. And yes, NEP 2020, there's a lot more to be done, and let's share our ideas and exchange our views on today. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. We are equally honored with your presence, Bindu ma'am. Thank you. I'll come back to you. Now, I would request Nenwal sir, sir, if we can have your opening remark.
Good morning to everyone present there. It's nice to be here on this national platform, and I have of learners. Much has been said about NCEP 2020 by all educators worldwide, but I believe today's session will be very thought-provoked. We'll be hearing the learned educators, those who have spent good deal of time in education and procuring a lot of experience. To hear them will be my privilege and pleasure. So looking forward to hear them. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nenwal sir. I'll come back to you for your main talk. Now, I would request Abhishek ji. Abhishek ji, if we can have your opening remark.
Thank you, Raju ji. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to wish each one of you a happy World Radio Day. I know that we are not associated with radio industry, but as in, if we talk about RJ, I believe that we are research jockey. We are into research works every time. Dear friends, I love my profession and I'm in one of the best job in the world because I work with people who are fun, funny, energetic, creative, and insightful. Yes, I'm talking about the students who are the age category of 4 to 18 years. I really do think kids keep a person young. So whenever I'm a part of such a young and adult team, so I always say that please forgive me if I'm wrong anywhere. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Abhishek ji, and we are very excited to see your participation and to hear your ideas. I'll come back to you.
Thank you, Raju ji. Thank you, Raju ji.
Now, with this, I would request Dr. Puneet Goswami ji. Puneet ji, we can have your quick opening remark.
Very good morning to all the panelists, Raju ji, and all the participants who are today with us to discuss on the national education policy. Now, definitely, national education policy is the future for tomorrow. And we all are here today to discuss on what are the challenges we are going to face in implementing this national education policy. This national education policy is no doubt the amalgamation of the various parameters. If I say the domain knowledge, problem solving skills, cognitive and analytical skills, interpersonal skills, communication skills, positive attitude, adaptability, information technology skills, and the lifelong learning parameters. So today, when we will discuss among all the learned persons over here as a panelist over here, so I think these challenges can get us a certain solution out of it. And I'm looking forward to it, to discuss these all things with all the educationists who are today the panelists, and looking forward to a good solution for a national education policy. Thank you, Raju ji.
Thank you, Puneet ji. I'm sure that we'll find a lot of solutions. So now with this, I would request Jaswinder sir, sir, if we can have your opening remark.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. We are talking about NEP 2020, which is a very nice policy, but a disruptive one. So we all need to understand how do we make it a positively disruptive thing that will happen to the education industry and the future of our country. Very glad to be here discussing all these points. I'm going to focus more on the language components and how could we use technology to take care of a lot of challenges which this policy is going to bring in in terms of the scale that we need to achieve. So that's what I'm going to focus on. Thank you, Rajulji.
Thank you, Jaswinder sir. We'll come back to you for your main talk. And now I would request Ms. Michelle Amana. Michelle, if we can have your opening remark.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for having me speak in the midst of so learned and learned dignitaries. I'm here to speak about FSEM and basically how arts has the inclusion of arts has basically been a very good move by the new education policy. So we at FSM are equally thrilled, and I'm excited to have this talk with you all. Thank you.
Thank you, and we'll come back to you, Michelle. Now, with this, we come to the next part of the session, which is the main talk session. But before I invite our first speaker, just would like to share the learnings which we have had during our last 108 sessions. Almost every participant, every educator who participated shared that this is a wonderful document. This document has potential to place India at that coveted position of Vishwa Gyan Guru, if executed well. But almost same number of participants share that execution is going to be very, very challenging. A lot of people shared the example of CCE, that it was also a wonderful initiative, but got failed due to various reasons. One was lack of teachers training. There were some other reasons. A lot of educators also share that finance is going to be a key challenge. Many education leaders believe that many ideas which are there in the policy are already being implemented in good schools in urban areas, but the biggest challenge would be for rural school, government schools, and budget schools. So I would request all our speakers that while sharing your perspective and interpretation, if you can also suggest some idea or some thought which we all can try to execute in our respective domain. So that would make this session or this interaction more, I would say, useful for all of us. So with this, I would request our first key speaker, Dr. Chauhan. All these speakers will get 8 minutes and plus 2 minutes to conclude. So in total, 10 minutes maximum, so that we have sufficient time in the end for the questions. I would request Shanila ma'am to begin the session with your perspective. Ma'am, over to you.
So please excuse me if I don't talk for so long, because I think that people would get a bit tired of hearing me for 8 and then 2 minutes more. But if I overstep, then please let me know. So it may go either ways. Well, so talking about NEP 2020, yes, I think as educators, we all welcome that there is no rigid separation between the academic streams and the extracurricular and vocational streams that have been there presently. So especially when you have that separation between the arts, science, and commerce stream, which we have all actually grown up with, that rigid separation, and then a child has to choose those subjects which are there. I think doing away with that is really going to bring in a lot more talent, a lot more things which were there dormant in children, previously untapped, now would be possible with doing this, removing these kind of rigid, borders that were there. So I typically remember that during my time, I had to choose, like if I want to do art, science, or commerce, even if I wanted some subjects of commerce and arts. And finally, I ended up doing arts and finished off with the economics honors. But I wanted to take some of the subjects of commerce, but I had to do many other things which were not of my liking. And this has been going on and on. But finally, there's something which has come in which would really change things for children. Plus the extracurricular, the music, and everything that's integrated. And today I was so happy to see someone here from FSM. So our school also does FSM with our children. But in many of the, it's been a part of, it's an extracurricular. But now that they're all going to be a part of the curriculum, and we are going to have a peer assessment and self-assessment of the children, I think this is going to help them to become much more mature as they have to do even their self-assessment on all these competencies. So extracurricular too and vocational will help children to come at a global standard, because this is what has been happening. You don't now have to take an IBDP curriculum or a Cambridge curriculum. Our children are going to be at par with the world standards, because that we have to compete. It's like a big global village, and children are so smart. They pick up, and all this talent which is there, which was not being tapped to that much, because see, we were all stuck with the amount of marks that they are getting. And I mean, you have to pass that rigid number. That will come down, and we are going to have true learning now. So that is what we are so hopeful of, that now we will have more practical like knowledge, which is going to be given, obviously with vocational and with everything together integrated. It's going to be more practical learning and away from rote learning, because rote learning, we've done so much of it, we've seen it, we've encouraged it, because there was no other option. We're all part of a system, and we can't run away from it. But now we can, some things which are required for rote learning, we understand there are certain things that have to be learned, but learning with understanding, practical application, that is what is uh, uh, the absolutely welcome change in this system. And definitely, therefore, the experiential learning that comes with it, because you have time to be able to explore all this, because it's now required. So the experiential learning, then that is there, especially in the middle years. So when you're looking at that structure of the 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 in the middle years, the experiential learning in math, science, arts, social science, and humanities, that is being stressed, is going to help children to actually explore. Teachers also would be looking at how they are going to make it so children get hands-on learning. Obviously, a lot of upskilling of teachers would have to be done. A lot of unlearning has to be done before they can actually do it. But then, yes, I'm sure that we can all support them and get that done. So we are looking at a lot of changes. And as Jaswinder sir was saying, that we are going to have to see that with the change, that we could be able to do this positively, and that positivity will come when we all who are heading various institutions also encourage it. So it will be filtering down from on top as well as from the grassroots. So the change is everywhere. We're looking at a complete 360-degree turn. So thank you very much. I don't know how much I've spoken, but hopefully it's not too much and you are not too bored. You're on mute, sir.
Rajul ji.
Right. Thank you, Shunila ma'am, for sharing these powerful thoughts. You talked about that NEP will remove rigid borders and has a potential to bringing out the untapped potential among students. You also, share your assessment that, NEP would take us away from that established traditional rote learning system. And, it focus on peer assessment would, create an impact on our education system. Thank you, Ashwinila ma'am, for sharing these wonderful thoughts. I'll come back to you with questions. Thank you, ma'am.
Welcome.
Now, with this, I would request Bindu Gupta ma'am, Binduji, if we can have your perspective.
Yeah, NEP 2020, as lot has been said by Dr. Shunila. So I just want to say that, yes, I also agree with the group of people who believe that what NEP says, mostly or some part has been already being done by these schools in urban areas. But yes, with NEP, at least things will be streamlined. Now the schools, maybe the government school or aided or schools in rural area also, they will also follow the same pattern. For example, like experiential learning, it is not always like money is to be invested. It can be done like small things, like in the primary classes also. What we do, we give such tasks, small tasks for homework. Like the child, just you have to tell the child, just see when the tea, you are preparing the tea and there is steam. So this is what is evaporation. And if you cover it with the lid, So, and when you open the lid, you will find tiny droplets of water, and that is what is condensation. So such small handy, as we say, it's included in experiential learning, can be done in rural areas also. And like padding, how the padding, irrigation of padding takes place, that is something which they don't have to actually do it. They have been viewing it, they have grown up seeing all these things, so they will understand more, much better, the climate, the months, the temperature, ankle deep water. So in this case, these students of urban areas, they will be helped. So as we conducted educational excursion for such students for our school, they were taken to this Madhavgarh area around those farms where students actually, they were involved in this padding, how it is done. So as we all say, and we all know also, when I do, I remember. So this experiential learning, and then yes, coding. Now it's in the global world, it's challenging. So the students, they should know coding, and it's a good idea that because of coding, it's a problem solver. The child becomes creative. Gets the problem solving attitude. So all these things, and this 360-degree holistic approach, that is also very important nowadays. So all these things which are included in NEP, right from self assessment to peer assessment by the child, a new way of report card will be prepared. So, and we all are waiting for that, how it will be and how it is going to help. And yes, challenges are there. And the best part I liked was the vocational streams. Like there's nothing specific that these subjects come under the humanities or science or commerce stream. Because in some schools, even if the child, he's in humanities group, wants to take maths, it was not allowed. There are many schools, but now at least there will be no such foundation. So all these things will help the students to grow and to look at the larger perspective. So according to me, NEP, we welcome NEP 2020, but let's keep our fingers crossed. It should not be the way like CCE. So for that, we are here to discuss and share ideas. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So I believe with this rate, we are going to end this session very soon. So thank you, Bindu ma'am, for sharing these important highlights from NEP. You talked about that NEP strengthened the environment where focus would be more on experiential learning. You also shared your assessment that it encourages learning by doing principle of education. You also shared that it emphasizes upon that coding, and then eventually it would it would make our students more creative. In fact, few sessions back, one of very senior educator from Delhi participated and shared that, so far we have been hesitant in exploring things. We did not get that proactive support from parents, but this NEP would create an environment where we would be able to explore things. So I hope for the same. So thank you, Bindu ma'am, for sharing your ideas and thoughts. I'll come back to you with questions. So that's in one way this is good that we would be having more number of questions. So thank you. Now I would request Nainwal sir, sir, if we can have your perspective.
Good morning again to everybody. Nice to hear the two predecessors that they highlighted the significance of NEP. Before we come to discuss this 2020, I mean NEP 2020, we had experienced some other policies that launched by government, which include SSA, that is Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, and ICDS, Integrated Child Development Program. And then CC, of course, everybody aware, many of them have also said about the CCV flopped policy and flopped program of the government. It could not work out. Though the program initially seemed to be very purposeful, but when it came into implementation and in many fronts, all educators could not come to the expectations, whatever might be reason, but we were not successful. Now let's see this NEP 2020 may not confine to a draft on a paper. That time will tell whether we are able to implement it, what has been actually said or drafted. When we speak about this child, early child care, see, in which special care has been taken about health of a child. If a child is not healthy enough, so he cannot focus on education. And keeping in view the current scenario of COVID-19, you see, when each one of us were not able to adjust what has suddenly happened to the world, and we all confined to our homes and were terrified. So anything may happen in future. So a special emphasis has been led by the policy to work for health of a child. And that is, I think, as a very good step taken by our government. But however, one more thing has been said here, that some councillors, some local bodies will also be included in order to check the health of a children, the fundamental education of a children. But it has not been mentioned actually what will be their eligibilities. I mean, who will be these people? Who are they who will be taking care of the fundamental education of the children? Now, I appreciate the move from 10+2 to 5 +3 +3 +4. That is almost 15 years school life, or 15 years the school education, and in which much has been said in different stages, and examination has not been given much importance, whereas practical learning has been focused, and that is need of the hour. And earlier, the swimming was taught in the classrooms, and children used to pass their examination by rote memories, and the assessment of a child in 3 hours was not very, good, or I must not approve it very much, because we cannot assess a child in 3 hours, and that too we assess his learning memory ability, how much he can learn or how much he can cram. But now, yes, in the policy, the focus has been led on the practical knowledge, and special attention has been given to uplift the level of education. That it may not be merely learning things and passing examination and forgetting after 2-3 weeks. Whatever we taught through the vocational courses, whatever will be taught to children through the laboratories, workshops, or by the experts, or by the trainers, that will be helpful to them in time to come. Earlier, we all used to know the mechanism of job only after graduation and post-graduation. Now our children will be able to know the mechanism of job after 6th standard, because they will start taking up vocational courses just after 6th. So by the time they shape their career, they will be able to understand the job, what is job all about, and how to handle the challenges of life. That is also an appreciable effort. And apart from this, what I personally feel in this NCP, the earlier we used to learn a story about a rabbit and a tortoise, which the tortoise wins the race, and we were told the slow and steady wins the race. Perhaps in this NCP, when we are talking about holistic development or 3D degree holistic development of a child to enhance critical thinking to improve his decision-making skills, and to make him as a dynamic personality all over, or work for his overall personality. So that we'll have to change the story. We have to change the story according to me. What I feel, if we want to make our children smart enough, having their harmonious development, cognitive development, so the typography has to be changed in the story. If a rabbit cannot swim and tortoise can swim and cannot run faster on the ground, but tortoise can run faster in the water. So that kind of platforms are to be provided to children, so that there is nobody a loser or a winner, or everybody is winner. And that is very much has been highlighted in NEP, in which the training to our students, training to our teachers, to be also given time and again. And now the teacher will be also thinking whether he should choose teaching as a profession, where he has to groom a lot, because he has to go under so many sessions of training. Earlier, after till date, what we notice, sir, we notice that teacher wants to come to into profession because he feels this is, or she feels this is a very comfortable job, or we go to school and comfortably come home. Now in this NCP, the teacher has to obviously go for strenuous training. You know, if he or she wants to rope the children, unless he or she is competent enough, having enough knowledge of handling children, will not be able to justify. Why I'm saying so? Because now the children will be coming without bag. Hello? Children will be coming without bag to school for few days, for 10 days approx. So if teacher does not have program for them, how they will handle these 40 children in the classroom? That will be difficult. So teacher has to work a lot before coming to school, so that he can handle those children for days when children are coming without bag. See, 10 days a good deal of time to involve children, to engage children. So teacher has to undergo a lot of studies, lot of activities, lot of projects, models, so that he or she can engage children in the classroom. Otherwise, there'll be a lot of mess. One more thing which you ask us, that give one suggestion so that this can be implemented. So the coding system has been also implemented from class 6 onward, for which we need a proper infrastructure. You know, until we do not provide ample infrastructure in the schools and the colleges, I think the coding or this NCP implementation will be an uphill task, not that much easy, might not be a repetition of Shishi. So I am very much hopeful that the efforts of the educators to implement this NCP in the coming years is a right time and right decision, because this is, of course, a demand of time, and change is law of life, and change is required. With this, I'll wind up my speech.
Thank you.
Thank you for giving me this platform and sharing my knowledge, and thank you so much to everyone.
Thank you, Nenwal sir. You shared these very important ideas. You began with that CC did not do well due to poor execution, so we need to learn our lessons from that. You also talked about that NEP has given an important focus upon the well-being and health of our students. That's laudable. You also talked about this NEP also gives a way for the external interference, into school affairs that may create, kind of a disturbance if not given proper, I would say, importance attached to. You also talked about that NEP provides a roadmap, which would eventually give more exposure on vocational skills. So that would eventually make our students more employable. You also talked about that we need to create an environment where we should encourage our students on collaboration rather than competition, among themselves. You also talked about that lack of trainings, among teachers. That teachers need to work upon their skills. They need to increase their capacity and capability to tackle 21st century's challenges. You also talked in the end, you also talked about that lack of infrastructure is going to be an area of concern, so we need to focus upon that. So thank you, Nenwal sir. I'll come back to you with questions.
Thank you.
Right. So with this, I would request now Abhishek sir. Abhishek ji, over to you.
Thank you, Raju ji. First of all, I would like to pat your back. Hats off to you, sir, by confining all the principles within a time span of 10 minutes. Huge task. We people are, into a lot of talking, a lot of things. So, highly commendable job. I would like to
I
share,
would say credit.
please let me know.
I'll take a second, sir. Credit goes to you only because you all have so many ideas, so many important thoughts to share. So credit goes to you that you have organized your thoughts, in those 8-10 minutes. And now over to you, Abhishek ji.
I just wanted to know, Raju ji, can you see my screen?
Yes,
I
we
have
can see
shared
your
it.
screen, sir. We can see your screen.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Raju ji. I have prepared this PPT especially for this webinar, and I will be going extempore, but preparing this PPT, the concept was otherwise. I always believe that PPT gives you power without any point. So I thought that people will be bored by seeing me every time. So that's the reason that I've prepared this PPT, so as everyone can be associated to whatever I'm going to talk. So we have a lot of learnings about national education policy. I know people are debating on pros and cons of NEP. It's good. Let's talk about something different that is related to teaching in 21st century. I'll skip this. I will come back to this later on. Yes. Trust me, I have Googled, a phrase yesterday related to 20th century learners, 20th century school, 20th century education system. And to my surprise, I was able to find N for nothing. Yes, dear friends, we have stated about 21st century skills, 21st century teaching aids and everything, but you will not find a single thing related to 20th century. And I always believe that the era, in 20th century or maybe 19th or 18th century, those people were doing considerably well when it comes to education system. Now, if I talk about 21st century, I have seen certain, datas, which is easily, you can find those datas on different websites. And in those websites, the data states that almost 2/3 of the technology which we are using today will be extinct when we talk about 2 to 3 decades later on. So I'll give you a small example to it. I'm an engineer by profession, and I have studied 8085 and 8086 microprocessor, which is nowhere in use nowadays. And I hope that you have not heard about it. So I have tried to figure out how 21st century technique teaching skills can be. And for that, I have used two phrases: research, and second thing is relationship. I hope I am audible. Please, Rajuji, please let me know because I cannot
You're
see
audible,
myself
sir.
now.
You're audible.
Thank you so much. We will be talking about relationship. It's huge, but later on, we'll straight away start with the research-based technique. When I'm talking about research-based technique, so the thing is that now things have changed. After reading NEP, you must have seen that people are looking forward from teacher-centric module to student-centric module. It's mentioned out there. Teacher need to become guide on the side rather than being a sage on a stage. See, every time we upload the information in students' minds as a teacher, and we ask them to vomit it out while the time of examinations, whatever they remember. So I always believe that rather than doing these things, it's better to inspire kids, right? Inspiring kids is something where students will learn a lot of good things with a lot of good ideas. I'll share one of the fact and figures which I have came across recently, in which it was stated that the the creativity level of 9 years or 8 years of child is around 92%, and the creativity level of someone who's around 20 to 25 is somewhere around to 48%. And you'll be surprised to know that the person having the age category somewhere around 40 to 50, the creativity level drops down to 8%. See what drastic changes education system has done. I'm not going to debate upon whether the education system which we are following is good or bad. Obviously, it is good. We are one of the product of that education system. But yes, there are certain changes which are required, which I can see possibly government has initiated by introducing national education policy. Now, when I'm talking about inspiring, I would like to share one of the incident, one of the experience which happened with me somewhere a decade earlier. I was asked to go to a class, class six it was, I still remember, and I was put on substitution. And before moving into the class, as in I always do my homework, so I try to find it out that whose class it is. Then I came to know that it was a science class. I went class six, and then I asked students what they were learning in science, and students told me that they are learning something related to speed and velocity. So I thought of introducing what speed and what velocity is. So straight away I gave a question to the students and I asked them, okay, tell me what speed is, or maybe you can, elaborate. I would like to elaborate this question. I asked them why we have brakes in our bicycles or in cars or, other vehicles. And I know that each one of you, when I'm asking this question, the answer would be to stop the car or to stop the bicycle. And this was the same response which I got from majority of the student, until and unless one student rose up and he said, "Sir, I have brakes in my bicycle so as I can ride fast." I was surprised with this, thought process, that a boy of class six, he is saying something which is out of the box. He is trying to tell me that he has brakes in his bicycle so as he can ride fast. Whenever he wants to stop, he can stop. Rather than, thinking negative things that straight away I have brakes in my bicycle just to stop. So this is something which I have learned, and that particular thing gave me inspiration to teach in better sort. We always talk about, you must have read about 5 C's, I hope so. Everyone is educationist, so you may have come across these C's, that is collaboration, communication, critical thinking, and creativity. I have added one more point over here, that is choice. See, if you ask student that what is the time when they feel very good in school, they'll tell you, I mean, half of the students will tell you that it is somewhere around lunch time or maybe when teachers are not there. And when I used to, observe these things, why students, they love lunch time or these time when teachers are not there. I used to find that they used to get some sort of choices in their life when it comes to what they have to eat, right, in cafeteria. So same thing can be applicable while teaching. It's important to give choice to the students rather than asking them that this is the thing which you have to learn. Now, we were talking about rote learning before. So this is something where I always believe in, give them choice, they'll give you some sparkling colors, right? Now I'll give you a small example. Let's talk about the people somewhere around 2000, 3000 years, or maybe more than that ago, and when they must have seen the holy mammoth for the very first time, and they have thought of hunting it down. So what they would have thought of, first of all, they would have thought of, how we are going. They would have thought of planning to how they can kill that holy mammoth. So from there it comes critical thinking, and then obviously the collaboration, that everyone collaborated together, and they thought of hunting it down. Obviously, you cannot do it all alone. And then when it comes to communication, communication means whenever they must be sitting and on the at the bonfire, and they must be telling the adventures how they have actually hunted down the holy mammoth. So they must be communicating by either smiling or maybe by drawing pictures on caves and rest of the things. So it means that critical thinking, collaboration, communication, creativity, it is already there in us. It's already there. It's just about finding out all those things in a better sort. So I think that we are made to learn these things these ways. Now, I'll go further. These are certain codes. Again, someone was talking about we have to ask all the teachers and the students to first of all delete all the things what we have learned before, and now we have to pour some new things related to NEP. So this is a quote where it is rightly said that mind is not vessel that needs filling, but wood that needs igniting. So instead of being using the pen paper test or the test as the earlier person said about the judging the students for 3 hours, it's not correct at all. Now I'll give you some example to it, and the solution which I used to follow when I used to teach. In fact, I'm a teacher right now also. I have always given my students certain activities to be performed after every chapter, after every unit, instead of taking their test. I'll give you some example. Let's say I have always asked my students that whatever you have read till now, till date, come up with certain activities and tell me how and what you have learned. When I'm saying activities, it does not mean that I'm talking about the traditional test, pen and paper test. I'm talking about the non-traditional methods. I'll give you examples such as projects prepared in school or maybe at home, or maybe they could perform songs, or maybe they can perform skit, or they can write anything, poetry, or they can prepare models. So as the virtue, the idea behind this is to know what have they learned instead of grading the students that what have they scored. So that was the thing which I have always thought of. uh, I have cut short this presentation just because I know that we are here for 8 to 10 minutes only. So second last PPT, it is related to two loves. First love is love of a teacher towards subject, which is very important, and love of a teacher towards students. I have mentioned it over there. Love is decisional, not emotional. See, I still remember when I was in grade 3, while the time of lunch, my teacher, Miss DeCosta Lal, she used to read for us. I know that it would sound something weird, but yes, I still remember because she used to read Tom Sawyer for us. Reading Tom Sawyer in such a tender age when I was in class 3, it was such a magnificent thing for me happening at that time. And I still remember the Costa Lal madam just because she was the one who has incorporated a reading habit in me. So that love, that affection which she gave to me, it's there in my heart, and I truly wanted to actually write a letter to her that, ma'am, I really miss you. My mom is on board right now. She's here, Miss Parveen Handaji. She's here with us. The next point is 6C, which is caring, and this is something which I have learned from her. She is a person who told me that there are not only 5C, you should introduce 6C in your life when you're talking about the students, that is caring. You know what happened yesterday in the evening? Praveen Handaji, she called me yesterday in the evening and she said, "How are you? How are you doing?" I knew she wanted to know that whether I'm preparing for this presentation or not, because she was the one who inspired me to be a part of this dialogue, this session. So thank you so much. Uh, I would like to ask one question from all of you. Please answer if you can see this picture, everyone. This is gonna be the last slide.
Right.
Rajul ji,
Yes.
am I
I,
audible?
you're audible, sir. My mind says it has just four legs, but it has that visual complexity. So yes,
And
elephant has four legs, but it
and
has been designed so.
can I hear something else, something different from other speakers too? Just for a second.
Jaswinder sir?
The illusion is of 6 legs, but it is 4. It's the illusion, the way you look at it. It all depends on how you look at it.
Absolutely correct, sir. Absolutely correct. So this is what I wanted to tell you. The education system we are in. Usually, whenever I show this PPT to teachers and students, they always tell me that we can see 6 legs. I'm sorry to share this picture. I forgot that I'm with some great leaders. They would be able to answer this question in better sort. This is what education system in India is. What we are seeing, what we are observing, we are responding on that thing. But rather than we should be focused. We should be we should not presume anything before whatever we see. So thank you so much, Rajuji, and thank you other listeners. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Abhishek ji, and it was so exciting to hear these ideas. You began with the 21st century skills. That's a research-based techniques and relationship. You also talked about teachers, why teachers need to understand their role as a facilitator. You talked about that conventional education system doesn't encourage creativity. In fact, with some fact you share that it in fact kills creativity, the conventional education system. So we need to evolve that way. You also talked about the 5C, and you also added another C to that. You also talked about why we need to offer more choices to students, and eventually we need to empower them so that they can find their own answers. We don't need to give them answers. We need to empower them so that they can find answers. And you shared a lot of I would say igniting quotes. So we all love that. And you also talked about two loves of teachers. So thank you, Abhishek ji. Thank you for joining. I also
Thank you so
welcome
much.
Praveen ma'am, for joining and for encouraging Abhishek ji so that he could have joined us and shared these wonderful thoughts with us. So welcome, Praveen ji, and thank you, Abhishek ji. I'll come back to you with questions.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And now I would request Dr. Puneet Goswami ji. I believe all the key speakers so far have set the standard with the time. 8 minutes for the main talk, 2 minutes for the conclusion. So with this, I would request Dr. Goswami. Puneet ji, over to you.
Yes. Yes, Rajulji, thank you very much for providing me this opportunity to speak on this very crucial platform. I think this national education policy, I was just listening right now to Abhishek Srivastava, and I was totally lost into it. The one of example he quoted that when he went into the school and he asked the students about the speed and velocity relationship, and one student motivated him. So that was the best part of his presentation, what I moved out. The thing was ki if a student can motivate you, then there is nothing more than that, because we all are learners at every stage. It is a lifelong learning experience, that is learn, unlearn, and then again relearn. So it means we are just like a software you need it, because I am particularly from this field of a computer science and engineering. So what I have learned throughout my career is that when I learn some technology, suppose I was learning something way back, artificial intelligence, machine learning, then all the technologies, they are changing. It means I have to unlearn myself, I have to update myself. Similar way we are updating our softwares, the same way we have to update ourselves. And this we can achieve only when we have the good logical skills, critical thinking, all we have in ourselves. Then only we can develop ourselves. So thank you all the speakers today. They have really enlightened us with a very positive approach they have towards this national education policy. As far as I consider this national education policy, I always say that this is more than national education policy, is basically a student opportunity system. Why I say that? Because this is everything that is available for student. The only effort required is to ensure that we are disseminating or we are imbibing all the skill set in the students in a right way. Our approach should be very appropriate. So what are basically the core activities I feel we are having in this national education policies? First is the core activities to developing the high quality human resources. Second is to develop the world class researchers. Why I say? Because we are having this ISRO, DRDO centers at our area level where we are doing the very crucial tasks for the national security. We need the high quality researchers also. Then to develop the academic excellence also. And then to develop the core competences in the students and the soft skills also. Now, who are the enablers? The second step is who are the enablers? Who will enable this task for us? Obviously, the faculty, the teaching staff, all these are the enablers along with the infrastructure that is provided by the various higher education institutes and the schools at the primary and the secondary level. So when we are taking the enablers, they are the very vital role. I say they are the intermediary layer who basically playing a vital role in disseminating this knowledge to the students via this upper medium, which we call it as a faculty and the teaching staff. And if they are trained accordingly, their practical exposure and the way they are disseminating the skills to the students is appropriate. And just a very crucial point I will put over here is the more emphasis should be given on the training part of the faculty, how practically they are sound, how they are actually enabling the students, how they have ensured that the problem solving skills, the critical thinking and the logical thinking they have developed in themselves. There must be some prior activities in the class which ensures that apart from the curriculum cramming, they are just looking forward for ensuring that the student is developing these kinds of skills in it. And when they are, because domain knowledge is no doubt a very crucial component, but the most important component is the domain knowledge can be definitely imbibed only because of the logical and critical thinking. If it is having in the student, they can easily go ahead with this kind of approach. So now this next question comes, how we are going to do this? Now, how is a big question that comes. Then we have to see by conducting more academic activities, more FDPs, faculty development programs, for the practical learning of the teachers, for the students, and then also engaging industry into it. Industry engagement is also one of the important component, because what is happening in the industry, these are the future for the tomorrow. And this all the practical learning with schools or the higher education institutes where I belong, we cannot achieve this particular task without this reducing the gap between, bridging the gap between this industry and the academia. And the last fourth point I will put over here is this is the entrepreneurship skills. Why I am focusing on it? See, because we are a country where we not only need these job seekers, we also need the job creators. And if we are focusing on creating the these entrepreneurs who will create the jobs for the various individuals, it means then there will be a balance in the society. And this balance we need to achieve by just looking at the aptitude of the child, whether this particular, if we found that as a faculty or as teacher, that this particular child has this capability to become an entrepreneur. We must provide these opportunities to the students to come out with their plans. We must support them financially to just implement their plans, either at the small projects, or so that they are imbibing in themselves the qualities or the skills to become an entrepreneur. Because these future entrepreneurs will definitely help in developing more job opportunities also. And then only we can balance our society in a technology field. And this is why it is more important to ensure this balance is I just in my previous talks also, I have always said that the article in India Today clearly stated 2 years back, 60 to 70% graduates, engineering graduates, they are not having a skills to get employed. For the sake of this, getting a degree is not the time where we should spend the money to get a degree. Just the skill set is what is required. That's why the skill-based nation with a skill-based manpower is the only solution to the country, to the entrepreneurs, And this is how our country can build up. So when we are talking about the national education policy, we must focus on the three fundamental principles, that we have to be very honest in delivering the academic activities. We have to ensure that they are being delivered in a very appropriate manner, and all this evaluation process must be very transparent, and mostly it should be a practical based, so that the outcome can be analyzed, where our child stands, and whether this industry engagement, how many industries are tying up with the schools level also, because the potential never starts in the higher education institute. I always say that. Even as you nowadays, in the newspaper we study that 8th class student has done very good in the coding, and they are doing building applications. How it is happening? Because they have a quest, or you can say in themselves, to learn something, and they can learn at any stage. So if industry is engaged to this primary level schools or the secondary level schools at a very early stage, and they are engaging and they are motivating the students by seeing their potential, so their employability as well as the entrepreneurship skills can be encouraged at a very early stage, and we can have more entrepreneurs at a very young age, rather than we are just founding at the age of 30 or 40s. We can have them at the age of 20 also. So this will bring to the development of the country. We should give this, we should adopt this kind of approach. Why I'm saying this? Because adaptability is approach where these individuals will get this opportunity to work in the diverse groups with by doing the challenging tasks, and then they will get this skills in them to become a very well entrepreneur. So with this, I will take a break with that. We have the main highlighting areas I have already quoted, so
Absolutely.
we must focus on that. Thank you, Raju.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Puneetji, for highlighting these three key elements which NEP is offering. You talked about that it offers, a very strong industry engagement perspective with the schools. You also talked about that it would eventually make our, kids, students more employable. And you also shared your assessment that it focuses upon creating more entrepreneurs. So thank you, Puneetji, for sharing these important elements from National Education Policy. So before I invite Jaswinder sir, would like to recognize the presence of Homi Stubbins ma'am. Homi ma'am is a former principal with Salwan Public School, Delhi. She has joined us from the United States of America. So welcome, Homi ma'am. Thank you for joining. Now I would request Jaswinder sir.
Yep. Thank you so much, Rajul. Again, now I would say good afternoon, everybody. A lot has been talked about NEP, what it says and what it's doing, but I'm going to focus a little on what we need to do. So let me first start with, we need to have a lot of positive buzz around us. A lot of positive energy is required to make this possible. So that's the first thing that we need to do, is to talk positive and create that positive buzz, not only among the principals, it's for the teachers and for the parents. Also, students automatically will get them. What is important is, to make this possible, we need to attract the right talent to come into this. Like Abhishek said, he's there because he loves it. So if teachers are there, if they love it and they're there by choice, I think that's something that we need to work in, because it is going to affect directly the entire rollout of this program. Once we get the right kind of talent, we need to train them to deliver in the right kind of way. So that's an important part. And when I talk about training them, I am not talking about just training them on the subject. We need to train teachers to be good at technology also, because technology is going to help them deliver. I give this example. Let's look at teachers of today and teachers or our teachers. Okay, our teachers a decade back, the curriculum, not a decade back, about 40, 50 years back, the curriculum used to change every decade. But now for current teachers, it changes every year. How are they going to cope up with that? Same teacher, same 24 hours, same husband, same in-laws, kids, household things, and job also. How will they get the time? So the only support they can take is from technology. So we need to train our teachers to use technology. They need not do coding, but they should know what to find and where to find and how to filter that. So that's something that I would propose, that NEP, if the trainings are going to start, they need to see to it that teachers are trained to the use of technological tools to a great extent. That's very important. It is easy, it's not difficult. They've already done that during the pandemic and they've shown what they can do. So we just need to take them to the next level. That's one. The other thing is, teachers need to be very, very compassionate when they teach. Abhishek, you did talk about you love your teacher. And that is why I'm sure you love the subject that this particular teacher taught. So